This is special edition limited GPU with only a couple thousand units ever produced, and I brought it for only 30 euros. It's GTX 960 MSI Gaming 100ME. Is a special edition limited card released by MSI to celebrate the company's 100 millionth NVIDIA graphics card sold. It features MSI twin Forza cooler, factory overclocked performance, and unique green and black color design inspired by NVIDIA branding. Even in its time, it was strong mid-range card for 1080p gaming, with good power efficiency thanks to Maxwell architecture. It has 124 CUDA cores and 2 GB GDDR5 VRAM. Let's see if this GPU is still capable of 1080p gaming in 2026. In Fortnite on low settings, the GPU delivers around 70-80 FPS, with no noticeable stutters. VRAM usage completely fills the 2 GB buffer, but the gameplay experience is surprisingly smooth and very enjoyable. Raising the settings to medium cuts performance nearly in half, dropping to around 40-50 FPS. That's not really enough for a competitive experience, so personally it's best to stick with low settings. Let's try a newer AAA title, Resident Evil Requiem. This is the kind of optimization all developers should aim for. On low settings with FSR balanced, we get around 30 FPS, while in other scenes performance rises to 40 FPS. Surprisingly, it runs without noticeable stutters. Just imagine that, a modern AAA game running smoothly on only 2 GB of VRAM. By the way, game looks really good on these settings. In CS2 at medium settings, on the most demanding map Ancient, we get around 90-80 FPS, with drops to 60 during smoke and Molotov effects. I guess that on low settings, those heavy moments would be much more playable. Borderlands 4, low settings with FSR balanced. This is the complete opposite of Resident Evil Requiem. The graphics look really ugly, while performance sits at the bottom with only 26-28 FPS, not even a stable 30. Lowering FSR to ultra performance turns the image into total potato graphics with heavily pixelation and loss of detail. Character, textures and distant objects look rough, making the game far less enjoyable, but FPS rises to around 30-40. At that point, honestly, it's better to play some previous Borderlands game instead. In Battlefield 6 REDSEC on low settings with FSR balanced, performance sits at around 40 FPS without stutters, which is honestly nice to see. In some heavier moments, FPS drops to around 30, but the game remains playable. I also tried lowering FSR to ultra performance, but surprisingly, FPS didn't change at all. I guess that's because of VRAM bottleneck. In Cyberpunk 2077 on low settings with FSR quality, simply cruising through the city, FPS keeps around 40, which is quite good for this GPU. Once heavier action starts, FPS can drop lower, especially during combat or busy scenes. Lowering FSR further didn't improve the situation much at all, which again suggests another bottleneck, most likely the limited 2 GB of VRAM. In Forza Horizon 5 on medium settings, driving through the open wilderness delivers around 60 FPS. Once you enter the city, Performance drops to around 40, but it still feels very enjoyable. Since this is a racing game, lower FPS as much as it would be in a competitive shooter. I'm really looking forward to Forza Horizon 6. Judging by the system requirements, I think it should run at similar level on this GPU. Maybe little worse. S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, low settings, FSR ultra performance. Oh my god, this is really bad. This GPU clearly struggles with Unreal Engine 5 titles. Even with frame generation enabled, the game still runs poorly, with huge input lag and constant stutters. On top of that, frame generation also uses additional VRAM, which is far from ideal when we have only 2 GB to work with. Minecraft 16 chunks render distance, with my favorite complementary shaders on medium preset. Performance stays around 40-50. Even with 960 you can still enjoy Minecraft with modern shaders and great visual experience. So what's the final verdict on this GPU? Honestly, this little special edition card surprised me. For only 30 euros I got a rare collector GPU that can still play modern games at 1080p, if you're willing to lower settings and use upscalers. Esports titles like Fortnite and CS2 runs very well, while games like Cyberpunk, Resident Evil Requiem and even some newer AAA releases remain surprisingly playable with the right settings. So the biggest limitation of this GPU is clearly 2 GB of VRAM. In several games, memory becomes the main bottleneck, and newer Unreal Engine 5 titles can be a real struggle. Still, for a budget gaming retro hardware fans or collectors, this card has a lot of charm. Not bad for a hardware released over 10 years ago. Subscribe, leave a like and see you in the next videos.